The demining project lasted for over 38 years when the final minefield at Yorke Bay fell and was reclaimed by the public. But this project, there have been many myths and legends that need to be debunked. When the Argentinian surrender was signed, it was claimed that there were 20,000 anti-personnel mines and 5,000 anti-vehicle mines. This proved to be untrue.
So really the key with this is we know that 9,928 anti-personnel mines were physically taken, but we also have a record for the number of bits of evidence that are found, the blast holes found, and it comes nowhere close to what was declared by the Argentinians as having been laid.
Mining is a complex business, and the volunteers have claimed to have seen that mines were laid down by helicopters. And Argentine volunteers helping out with the initial demining effort also claimed to have a random orientation of mines. However, after 38 years, this proved to be false.
They also laid them in a remarkably disciplined way. Now, it might be slightly unpalatable here to say that any Argentinian did anything correctly, but their mine laying was done really quite correctly. If they win, who ends up having to lift the mines? Well, they do. So they would want to lay them in a way that they can be recovered very, very simply.
Mine records were crucial for the demining effort, so the deminers knew exactly where the mines were laid. Once the surrender was signed, the Argentinians were required to hand over the mine records. However, there was a partial rumour that the mines or the records were destroyed, which proved to be partially true.
And interestingly, out of the 155 declared suspect hazard areas in 1982, we had 122 of those left to clear afterwards. And out of those 122, we actually had 68 records. The frustrations were, for instance, over in the west, a lot of the records got destroyed, and in Fox Bay West, it's anecdotal evidence, we don't have direct evidence, but that the records were actually put in a brazier and burnt, in amongst other papers and so on. So we had a reasonable spread of records.
Since 2009, there were two companies leading the charge for the demining project in the Falkland Islands. There were Fenix in charge of quality management on behalf of the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office, and there was also Safe Lane Global, as it became known as throughout the years, who were in charge of the land release management. And it was this relationship that made the project a success.
The key thing is that you need a red team, blue team. If someone says it's done, the job's done, I have to turn around and say, provide the evidence. If you can't provide the evidence, the job's not done. It's got to be documented properly. It's got to be evidenced correctly. It's got to be proper reconciliation against records, verification of the ground. So I'm there effectively as a gatekeeper to pick holes in that process.
To clear huge amounts of land is by no means an easy task. So can the Falkland Islands be really classed as mine-free? Or is there a risk that the new mines could be discovered? Or can mines be washed in by the ocean?
So there is a residual risk, but it's incredibly low. So you then have to look at possibility of coming back, possibility of functioning, possibility of being found, possibility of standing on, possibility of an injury being caused. And for those who do statistical tree analysis, you multiply all of those tiny little possibilities and you end up with a very, very low number, 10 to the minus 15 possibility.
The hard work and dedication from the demining team has enabled people like me under the age of 38 to venture in areas for the very first time in their lives. This is a project and a legacy that is now part of the history books.
Olly, you ask probably the most difficult question for someone like me to answer. I love this environment. I have a deep love for this place. So I will leave on Tuesday with very much a heavy heart. I'd love to come back, and I intend to do so at some point. But this marks one of the numerous culminating points that you have in your life. So I left the army wondering what was going to happen next. I leave this wondering, not quite sure what's going to happen next.